Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining our webinar today. We'll get started in a couple minutes once everyone joins. Feel free to ask questions throughout the webinar in the Q&A or in the chat.
Jian, you'll be answering the questions that come through the QA and chat.
Okay, yes. Hi, everyone.
We are recording the webinar as well, and we will try to circulate the link right after the webinar. We will have an attendee list, so we will submit that to the CMRAO as well. For who does attend. So we appreciate everyone. It is a 0.5 CPE credits from the CMRAO for the session today. And we'll just give it another minute for people to join.
We're at 66 people now, Salim.
Okay. Great. How about we get started since we have a good group here?
Sounds good.
All right. Well, everyone, thanks for joining our one-click management report webinar. We have a special offer we're presenting today. This isn't meant to be a sales pitch. We do want to get your feedback, but if you stay tuned till the end, you'll see that from us. My name is Salim. I'm here with my colleague Eric Crucy and our lead developer, Jean Briesemeister. So
Hi,
a little
everyone.
bit about
Nice to meet
Managemate.
you.
Yeah, go ahead, Eric. Yeah, thanks.
Thanks
A bit about Managemate. Our goal is to streamline operations between condominium boards and their managers. I started in the industry in 2015 when I joined the board of my condo. I was practicing law in an unrelated area, but what I found was we had a need to work more efficiently together because we had a lot of work to get done. What I found was that tools that we used, like emails, file folders, spreadsheets, they didn't support our workflows. Information would get lost in emails and file folders. Reporting was very manual, and it seemed to take up a lot of our manager's time, and that took our manager away from actually getting the work done. It was hard for us to get on the same page, and there were lots of transitions. Board members would change, managers would change, and it was hard to just get continuity and long-term strategic planning done. So what we conceived of and what we launched is Managemate, the central way to streamline information workflows. So managers are inundated with a ton of information, and these comes from different places like emails, but also other software systems. So you have lawyers sending opinions and letters, you have engineers sending drawings and reports, you get work orders and quotes from trades, financial statements, budgets, incident reports, and service requests. A manager has a lot of work on their plate. And what we've created is a place for them to share that information in a simplified way with their board and for their team internally. So Managemate doesn't replace your other condo software tools. So we're familiar with and we work closely with other resident community portal software solutions and accounting software solutions. And what we do is we soft integrate with them so that there's no double entry. So we sit separate from, but we complement your existing solutions. Now, what we learned after we launched a few years ago, we spent a lot of time with our manager clients and our board director clients. We learned that management reporting is broken. It takes hours to prepare a management report for a board meeting. And boards and managers still struggle to find what matters because they have to go back to email file attachments, or they have to look through a 200-page, compiled PDF and go to page 73. It's not easy. Now, what we found is that, the challenge is that work is done over the course of a month by a manager. And when it's time for the board meeting, the manager has to write up updates in a Microsoft Word document, compile files that relate to those updates separately as PDFs, either as an email file attachment or a generated PDF, and then print that material to PDF and share it with their board. This takes a lot of time. So what we've created is a solution as a one-click management report. That's what you're seeing on the screen here. This is generated from Managemate software. In just a couple minutes, we'll show you how this works. But as you can see, a lot of the material in the report, which is generated, are links. It's links to the underlying material to save you and your board time, both in preparing the report, but also in finding the underlying information. The way it works is at a high level, you log an update, and then you generate the PDF once you're ready. And what we've done is giving you, and this is new to our software, we have a login activity update button prominently on the dashboard. And in one step, a manager can capture their update. They can add their documents if they've received any in relation to that work. And they can just select what section of the management report that update should go on. Then generating the management report is very simple. The reporting period captures the last 30 days, or you can customize it. And all you have to do is click Generate Report, and you have your PDF ready that can be customized to your needs. Great. So what we're going to do is show you how this works in Managemate itself. Eric has control of the screen here. He's going to load the Managemate software. And Eric, why don't you introduce this a little bit, and then I'll walk you through the activities that we're going to add.
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Liam. So this is the Managemate dashboard. You'll be able to see there's a left-hand navigation. Shows you the open projects, the activities that you're working on this week, what's been completed. And then we've added these new buttons, which is login activity and gives you access to your management report. And what we'll do is we'll start with adding one activity to build up that management report, starting with an item for board discussion or decision.
So Eric, our condo's been working on a reserve fund project. It's an elevator cab refurbishment. We just got a deficiency report on that. And so why don't we share that in our management report for board decision and discussion? So Eric here, he's selecting the activity. It's a get deficiency report for elevator cab refurb.
I did deficiency, right? Sorry about that. If I could spell correctly.
Try get deficiency.
Oh, okay. Get deficiency.
You can also create a new one too.
Well, I'll leave it there. Okay.
Yeah, let's create a new activity. Okay. Elevator cab refurb. So you have a couple options here. So as you're doing your work, what Eric is demonstrating is if the activity doesn't already exist in the system, you can just create a new one. So what you do is you'll set it to be in your item for board decision or discussion. And you hit the green check mark to save that. Great. So now Eric has the new task in the system. It's already in the management report, and he's going to add a status update. Great. And the optional is also to add a document. So the engineer left the deficiency report for us, and so we're just going to attach it here. Great. And now Eric just has to click add. And so in that minute, Eric has captured the update that is now going to be on the deficiency report. So Eric, why don't we take everyone to the actual management report section of the application?
Okay, here's the management report under activities. And if we go to what we've just added,
Yeah, here you'll see that there are several sections of the management report. You have items for board decision or discussion. You have items for board ratification. You have items for board information. And then you have items that are deferred. And this is what is a live view of your management report. And we'll show you how to generate this once we've added a few more items. So why don't we add something else we're working on? So for board ratification, we've been getting quotes for a snow removal contract, and the board actually picked the contractor they want, but they need to ratify it at their next board meeting. Great. So why don't we add an update? And let's make sure we select the management report section for board ratification. Great. And now what we can also do is those 3 quotes, we can add them directly here as well as documents.
So I got the 3 quotes preloaded.
Great. And all we have to do is click add. Great. And now you'll see in that for board ratification section that the item Eric just added is all ready to go and ready to be printed to the management report. So something else that came up before or after our last meeting, but that we want to report for the board for information is a water leak. There was a water leak into Unit 501, and we had a restoration company on site. And so we just want to share that information with the board in the board meeting. So this is new water leak from roof into Unit 501. And the section of the report will be for board information. Great. And here Eric is adding the status update that he has. And Eric actually has a couple pictures that he's going to add as well. So this way you can keep everything in one place.
So one of the restoration and one of the leak.
Yeah, perfect. So the before and after. So let's click add. That will get it into the report. And if you scroll down to the board information section, here you'll see again, this update Eric provided along with each of the files has been added. And notice here that the pictures Eric added, and we've been working in this demo account a little bit, so you'll see some of the other materials there. But you'll see that the pictures are all available from within Managemate. So there's no more clicking back and forth between emails and file folders. If you click on a file of a picture in a PDF, that will load within Managemate. So again, you don't have to fumble around with emails anymore. So Eric, why don't we go back to the management report? We're going to add one more item. Now, we know it's not unusual at a board meeting for items to get deferred month to month, just the lower priority items that might be a longer timeline, they might get deferred. And so what we're going to do is go back to the dashboard, maybe Eric, if you,
No.
Oh, you're in the report. Okay. So go ahead, let's log one more update. And this can be the EV charging feasibility report. So we know EV projects sometimes take a little bit of time. So we can add a new item if we'd like here or use an existing one. Great. We can create that and let's select that into the deferred section of the report. Great. And let's hit the green check mark. Perfect. Okay. So that's all set up. And what we're going to do is just add the update for the board. We do have a report ready, but we're just not going to spend time on it in this current meeting. So we're going to add our update. We're going to share the report. and
Okay.
we're going to click add. Great. So notice now that we have added items to each of our sections of our management report. Okay. And really, we're ready to go. We're ready to print this to PDF. Now, again, this doesn't have to happen all just before the board meeting. These updates can be added over the course of the month. And what Eric is going to demonstrate now is how to generate the report. So when you generate the report, you optionally can set the reporting period to a custom reporting period. Optionally, you can change the name of the report. You can even link it to an activity in your calendar, in your management calendar. But what we're going to do is we have a board meeting coming up, I think in the calendar. And we're going to see if we can locate that here. It's a June board meeting, and we're just going to click Generate Report. And all we have to do is sit back and wait. It takes a couple minutes. Managemate will send an email with a link to the report to the manager. So Eric is showing here what the email looks like for Managemate. We just set this up a couple minutes before this session. But notice that you get a link to the report. And when you're back in Managemate in the document section, you'll see that that report that's generated there, you can actually click the green drop down and you can see the file, and you can just click on that file, and this is your generated report from Managemate. So a couple things to note: we can customize the logo at the top of the report. As you go down, we provide a summary with the numbers of activities and updates in each section. Okay. Notice that we actually also assemble all your completed work over the course of that reported period automatically. You don't have to manually add that stuff in. And then as you go to each section, you'll see the information that was in Managemate that has been shared in the report. So in this case, this was that elevator cab task. It's part of a project. And that update Eric added, we received the deficiency report is right there. And you get a link to the material as well. So Eric, if you click on that PDF link, that will open Managemate and go directly to the actual report, the actual file. So again, no fumbling through emails. We can jump back into Managemate and show more if there are any questions. We have a couple more slides to present. But Eric, why don't we jump back to the presentation?
Okay.
Okay, great. So before we jump to questions and show more based on those questions, we just want to share an offer. So for attendees of this webinar, we're waiving our onboarding fee. Typically, that's $4.99 per condo. So if you want to sign up before the end of the month, we'll waive that onboarding fee so that you can get started with a management report. But on the next slide, we have just a set of next steps and also an opportunity now for everyone to ask questions. So I'm going to check the chat, and please feel free to enter any questions you have in the Q&A as well, and then we can go over more information.
So Kaleem raised her hand, or his or hand.
Great. So we will take you off mute, Kaleem. So Kaleem, you should be able to come off mute now and ask a question or provide feedback.
Hi, how are you?
Great, we're doing well.
Thank you. It looks nice. Looks very usable for software. But I have three questions. Number one, can we take the motions during that meeting if someone approve, and we can get the motion right there, and they can click and we can say, okay, who approved and who seconded, and then who approved the minutes of the meeting, and plus if we can generate the action items from the meetings. Is it any options available?
Yeah, so let's start with the last question first. So action items from board meetings. So maybe Eric, if you don't mind jumping back into Managemate, perhaps in the dashboard.
Sure.
Great. It's a great question. So To capture action items from board meetings, absolutely, we do accommodate that. So what we provide in Managemate, which is on screen right now, is a calendar and an annual planner. Now, if you have an action item from a board meeting, all you have to do is create a new activity. So you can do that by clicking the plus button or in the create new option as well. So Eric, go ahead and maybe create new from where you are here. And let's create a new task. So what we do for action items, our clients do this all the time, is they'll type in the name of the action item. Maybe the action item is, get 3 quotes for roof replacement, whatever the case might be. Really, all you have to do is tag that with action item. So we have a tagging system. It's very flexible. You can just start typing action item and it will organize this as an action item. And you can even tag this with something like roof, just as a demonstration. So we can show you how you're able to categorize your work as well in Managemate. Then all you need to do is, we default assign it to the manager, but you can assign this to another user if you want. And what you can do is set the due date. Sometimes you might want to report back on this by your next board meeting. So you might kick this forward to June 30th, for example. This information can always be changed later. And then all you have to do is hit create. Eric, I think you're on mute, but I think you asked, did you want to put it in the management report? And I mean, later we can, you could perhaps, maybe you can put it into a for board information. So you already have it teed up for your next management report. And when you click create, notice that in the calendar that we're showing on June 30th now, you have that item in your calendar and you can track this action item really easily now in Managemate. So this is how we have clients track their action items. And if you, click on that action item tag in the recent tag section there. So notice in the middle of Eric's screen, there's a recent tag section. He's going to click on the action item tag. So you can actually get a history of any tasks that you have listed as action items. And so this case, there's this one we have from 2025. So it's a good way to track your action items in Managemate. That was your last question. Your first question was about capturing motions during meetings. So the way we would capture information around decisions that were made, you can add notes to the activities in Managemate. And so Eric's navigated to this item just as an example. But notice on the right-hand side of the screen, you have an activity note section. So if there was a motion carried, you can indicate that in the note section. You can tag another note user if you want, but this is currently how we capture information from people who vote or approve on items. You just add a note and each user can add their own note, and you can edit your own notes, but other people can't edit their notes. But absolutely, we are looking for feedback on the management report, and you gave us an idea of maybe within the section of the management report, you can, write your motion there or write your meeting minutes there as well. So that's an option we can look into. Thank you, Kaleem, for the question.
Thank you.
Looks like we have another question from Branislava. So I'm going to bring you off mute here. Branislava, you should be able to come off mute now. Can you unmute now, Branislava? Do you have a question you want to ask?
We have a couple questions in the Q&A as well. One from Jonathan Bull. Hi there. Quick question regarding pricing. Did you say that is price per condo or per manager?
Yeah, good question. That's our per condo pricing. So the $195 a month, which is for condos over 50 units, would include 6 user accounts. So that could include 1 manager and 5 board directors. If your condo is less than 50 units, we have special pricing there as well. It starts at $99 a month for a condo. And if you have a busier condo, a larger management team, you might need more data storage, then the price might be $395 a month. But typically we have clients on $195 a month. or less if they have a smaller condo.
Okay, we have another question from Jennifer Dixon. Are board members expected to log in between board meetings to vote, or is this just for during meetings?
Yeah, excellent question, Jennifer. So board members aren't expected to log in. What we do actually is provide boards with a digest of updates in Managemate. So Eric has on his screen, he's showing an example of a digest. So boards can opt into these notifications. And as a manager, adds status updates, creates new materials, marks things as complete once a day currently, and there will be a once a week option. A board member will get a digest and they're able to then just follow what the manager is doing. This saves the manager the effort of emailing every update, which really inundates people. We collect those into a digest so that everyone can stay in the loop. So we actually built Managemate for the work that happens between meetings, but we're finding that we can support workflows in meeting preparation as well. And of course, that's where the management report generator came in. A good question, Jennifer. I see that I believe there was another hand up. So Branislav, I'm going to try and unmute you again here. So I'm just going to try and unmute you in case you want to just come on here. Let me try. Oh, I can't unmute you. You can just click unmute or ask a question in the Q&A. Sorry if we're having technical trouble there. Okay. Are there any other questions? I'm checking
So
the
one
chat.
thing to say, so we will be giving an email to everyone that's attended, and we'd love to offer a deeper dive demo, and we would be able to go over Managemate in detail and also generate a report for you on some things that you're working on that might make more sense when you have activities or projects you're working on. We can generate report for you just to show you what that looks like.
Great.
So you'll get that after this meeting.
Yeah, and that's great. And I think Kaleem has another question, so I'm going to allow him to come back on.
Sure.
Kaleem, you can unmute now.
Celine, one thing, what about the data security and privacy? Our data is secure and not be shared with anyone.
Yeah, we have a privacy policy we post on our website. So we take confidentiality very seriously. I was actually a technology lawyer working with software companies selling to financial institutions before I joined the condo industry. So all our data is encrypted, passwords are encrypted. We use first-class platforms like AWS and Amazon S3, and we are compliant with PIPEDA, which is Canada's Personal Information Privacy Act, and also compliant with other privacy laws in other countries. And we do this because we appreciate that every condo has confidential information and information that's sensitive about owners, and we take that responsibility very seriously. So it's our whole platform, our whole business is built around security and privacy. What we do have is things like an audit trail and a change log. So in Managemate, every change is tracked, and every user, this is just meant for the management team and the board, not residents, just to be clear, that you can actually see other changes that other board members or managers have made to make sure that people are honest with the data as well. And also, we have a 90-day retention period. So if something is deleted in Managemate, it goes into a recycle bin. You can't purge it right away. And for 90 days, it remains in that recycle bin just to make sure that something wasn't accidentally or maliciously deleted. So good question, Kaleem. There's a question or a couple notes in the chat from Anvar and Jonathan. So the question is this software for preparing the management report, not financial reports? Is that correct? And then it's a kind of organizer. So absolutely, we help managers organize information and organize their work. So instead of a spreadsheet tracker or a paper and pencil task list or using your memory, you use Managemate, you put things in the calendar. We have an annual planner which is extremely helpful and valuable to our clients. If you want to, do something every 6 months or once a month or once a year, you're able to do that in the annual planner, which Eric is showing now. And so absolutely, it's a kind of organizer. We will accept information from your accounting system, like your financial statements, and you can save those with your meetings and recall them later. But it's something that your management team and your board can then use as your single place of central information. Again, so you're not using emails, file folders, spreadsheets, and all sorts of different things.
And also what we do, part of Management services, is we automate the board updates. So rather than focusing on email, what we found is there's what we call email chaos in the industry, where managers just send emails for an update. They send the 3 quotes that we added to our management report. Then they wait for the response from the board to get the responses via email. So everything's focused on emails. And what the problem is that everyone's searching their emails to track, what was the response on the 3 quotes? Where are the 3 quotes? So in Managemate, you're able to focus your work and have a centralized location on specific activities that you're working on, and have a page for each one of those activities that you're working on, where you're able to add notes, attach the documents, and then focus that conversation. So as we added in if you're voting on a certain quote, or which way you wanted to go with the vendor, you're able to focus that conversation rather than having emails to track that information. So the daily digest automates the board updates when we're having a weekly digest come out. And then the board members get the email, the one email. They're able to click on the activity that they're interested. They can comment, so you'll be able to track the activity or the notes, and also the documents that are associated with that activity.
We have a question around integrations with programs like ShiftSuite. So ShiftSuite does both accounting and community portals. And there are other platforms that do that. Some just do accounting, some just do community portals. So the way we integrate is like this. It's a soft integration. So if you get a service request or an incident report come in from a community portal, you have 2 options. We can set it up so that those service requests and incident reports are automatically added from email notifications into Managemate, so that you can then action those items, share them with your board, add them to the management report automatically. The other option is the manager might pick and choose what's relevant to the board. Some service requests are for light bulb changes. You don't need to notify the board about that. But if it's a more material issue, we have an email automation where basically a manager or a board member can create a record in Managemate directly from their email. So what that does is when you get that notification about that water leak or that incident, that security incident from ShiftSuite, you just forward that to Managemate. You get your work done in Managemate, and then you can update ShiftSuite afterwards once that work is completed. On the accounting side, in a similar fashion, if there are nightly reports or financials being generated from your accounting system, again, soft integration using our email automation tool, we can get that information in Managemate. And over time, as we find the need, we'll do more 2-way direct API integrations. But right now, we find that this eliminates any double entry between both systems, and really frees up your time from email. But that's
and
a
what
good
you'd be
question,
able
Jennifer.
to do is when you get a report, you can associate it with, say, a board meeting. And then rather than having an email with the financial reports, you set up a meeting in the calendar. You then attach the documents that you're going to have a conversation about, actual meeting. So, and then when they receive the email, they'll notice that the documents are associated with the meeting. So all your management report, your reserve fund study, maybe your financial statements, they'll all be there. And then they access them, they can just click the link.
Yep.
So rather than sending a package, you're able to add them to an actual event on the calendar that the boards can access as well.
Yep.
And then the webinar we're doing today, the management report, I created the management report for the June board meeting, and it should be on here. But that then attaches the management report to the board meeting. So if I go to, I know there's one here on May, then the PDF that we created automatically adds that PDF of the management report to that event on the calendar. So then if you don't want to email the PDF of the actual report, it would be already associated with the actual event. So this would be one that we created.
Well, great, everyone. Thank you so much. Eric, if you want to put the closing slide on just for everyone's information. We are going to stay on a few more minutes if there's any more questions, but just being mindful of everyone's time. We appreciate your time and joining and being with us today. And we're happy to schedule meetings to tell you more about Managemate and get you trying to use the Managemate report. Yeah, thank you so much for joining, everyone. We really appreciate it. Eric, nice job. Thank you, Jean, as well. Thanks,
Thank you,
everyone, for
everyone.
joining.
Yeah, thanks, Liam. Thanks, John. So I think we handled, is there one more question, I think? Oh, thank you. Okay, great. Thanks to everyone for attending.
Yeah.
And again, we'll be following up with a recording of this event and also links to for a demo if interested in that.
All right. I think that's pretty much it, guys. I'll end the meeting.
Okay.
Okay. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Have a good day.
Thank you. Bye.